right, ladies and gents, we are back. Coach's Corner episode, who the fuck knows at this point. You know how we do it over here. We just kind of fly off the cuff. We are here today with Evan. He's a homie.
Edvin.
Edvin. I said Evan.
Edvin.
No, I said Evan.
Edvin.
Edvin.
Yeah.
Oh, am I not enunciating the D enough? Edvin.
Perfect.
See? That's why we do it live. So, but he's a member. He's someone from a very different walk of life than myself, which is why I like doing some of these interviews, is because you get to meet people from all places of the world, right? Mm-hmm. So, sometimes there's a stigma, right, with certain things, especially me, because I'm kind of an old head or old school dude, as you can tell from the gray. I get a lot of, people that bitch at me and say, Frank, you're too harsh, or you say shit off the cuff that you really shouldn't say, blah, blah, blah. And I don't believe that. I grew up with sticks and stones and words, blah, blah, blah. And I never say or do anything with malicious or mean intent. Mm-hmm. I just use words as a way of motivating and motivation, because that's how I was raised. Yeah. Right? And my gym, MMT Fitness, is a safe place for you. Come here, be happy, do your thing. But it's also a safe place for me, meaning however I talk shouldn't offend people. And if it does, let's have a discussion about it, but that doesn't mean I'm changing, right? Mm-hmm. And you and I had this discussion, and you were super cool, had no issues, and I respect you more. But what I was trying to say is, people sometimes come at me or think I'm some type of homophobe, when that's not true. It's the furthest from the truth.
Furthest from the truth.
Right? It's just because I say things like, don't be a pussy, or man, why you be a little fag? I'll say things like that, but it was how I was raised. I'm 40-some years old. Yeah. And it's never an attack or a personal thing. I think us as people and individuals, when someone's being malicious and trying to harm you. Of course. And I think that's where we lose.
I think you have to know the source. You have to know who it's coming from. And even without knowing you, I knew you were, you were a pretty cool guy, pretty open. So I never saw it as anything homophobic, but I remember we did have a conversation about, which you reminded me of, about something you had said, and I guess it caught my attention, and that's how we kind of started our bromance.
Yeah. Bro, it's funny because you get multiple reactions. Like I had told you, I did an interview yesterday with Ari Spears, great guy, famous comedian, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Awesome guy. But when I showed him your Instagram, right? Because his reaction was the typical dude, the machismo reaction of, oh, this nigga gay. Which I understand, because that's got to be half of the shit you get. But the other one was just a shock, like, God damn, he looks good. Shit. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he's straight too, but you can't, there's two ways to look at it. Some people can look at a guy and say, wow, that's an attractive man, and I'm straight. Others, I'm not allowed to say that, or, whatever. Yeah. Which, again, it's to each their own. You can never appease anybody. Or everyone, I should say. Yeah. So I thought having you on, talking about, just bullshit that we talk about here at the gym, blah, 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 get to know you a little more. And then also some of your life experience, because I think some people that I know we have who are young, who might be in between or uncertain of where they may fall in the world, could hear your story or your path and maybe, shit, okay, and just put it out there, because not a lot of people from different walks of life have these conversations because they're uncomfortable. Yeah. Right? Like, I agree. You know what I mean? So if I don't give a shit. Like,
and that's what I love about you. You've always been open since day one, but like most importantly with what you said, especially with youth and mental wellness being such a big thing these days, lots of kids are walking around dealing with some pretty dark stuff. And they're afraid to express it. They don't know how to express it, or they're secretly suffering. And I was like that as a kid. I suffered as a teenager because I didn't have a safe environment that I can express myself or really talk about my feelings. And now it's completely different, but I think now, in a way, yes, it's more accepting. Kids can be who they want to be in an accepted environment, but there's also they're also up against a lot these days, especially with social media and the pressure to be a certain way and have certain things, and it's a completely different environment from when we grew up as children. I think they have it harder now than we did then.
Do you think that those mental issues and stresses and pressures, like you were saying, do you think some of that stems from social media?
Absolutely.
Because I do, me personally.
Absolutely.
Because everyone dusts off the shit, polishes up the good, and only posts the nice.
Of course. And I write a lot about that in my journaling. I love to write. It's kind of an outlet for me. And I think that social media can be very seductive but very misleading for a lot of people 100%. Because, we only post, the good stuff. We don't know, we don't want to post that we're suffering or we're going through things or,
victims do. People like that victim response.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that.
Those
but, you never know. It's extremely misleading, and people, base their self-worth on someone else's Instagram, and they wish their life could be better or different, or they compare themselves to, influencers like me, for instance, that how they want to look or how they want to be. I've always been transparent from day one about myself. I present a certain image, but, I've had to... People know the journey I've gone through to create that image. Very transparent about that.
So, real quick on the transparency, when we had our first conversation, we were talking, something stuck out to me that was, I told you was important, but I also said, how did I word it? I wanted to say I was proud of you, but that's not really the right words, I don't think. But you said, because we were talking about, certain people can be homophobes, and sometimes this is a safe place for you. No one will ever harm you here because, I would take care of that. And you're like, dude, look, I know how to carry myself and how to handle myself. I go to the East Coast, I travel, I do shit. I know when and how to carry and walk a certain way.
Yeah, I've been in the streets.
You know what I mean? So, when to turn it on and turn it off. You can be you and happy and flamboyant and do those things, but there's a time and place. And if you're in the in the Bronx, in the ghetto of New York, that's not the time and place to walk and act like that because you get fucked up.
Yeah.
Some people, out of the ego's not gonna be the right word, but out of
fear,
whatever, they're not gonna give up. They're not gonna not want to be who they're portraying to be, right? Because I don't need to change because this is da-da-da, and then you put yourself at risk doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that.
So I commended you for being able to be...
I know my audience. I know my atmosphere. Like I said, I'm well-traveled, and I could be, in South Orange County, Newport Beach, or I could be in downtown LA, or I could be in the Bronx, or I can be in Atlanta, and you got to be able to adjust to your environment accordingly. So
do you think that's something that people who are on yours... Guys, when I say your side and my side, I just mean straight and not straight.
Yeah.
Do you think that's important for some of your friends or people that are on your side to know or think they should be aware of?
Ideally, I would like to think that the world could be a safe place for everybody.
World, I agree.
In a perfect world. But unfortunately, especially with everything going on with politics and everything, we don't live in a perfect world. Right. And there is a lot of discrimination out there. And you have to be careful.
No,
you have to be aware. I just think for me, it's just street smarts.
Yeah.
And some people don't have street smarts. And street smarts teaches you to, do your thing, but always be aware. There are people that are watching you at all times. You don't know your environment. You just have to kind of be on alert.
Yeah.
For me, I'm myself, right? I wouldn't say that, compared to people we've seen, I wouldn't say that anyone would mess with me. I had this conversation with with another gay individual who lives in the area, and he's, you know, has this idea that people are homophobic here, which I don't think people are homophobic here. I think that maybe people have been homophobic towards him, but no one's ever been homophobic towards me. I mean, I am a bigger guy, so I think that even if they were to be homophobic, they would keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't necessarily bring that up with me. But I think at the end of the day, you know, we're all here to coexist with everybody. Right. You know, you can have, you know, you don't have to love gay people.
Right.
I don't care. As long as you respect me, I respect you, we're good. Yeah. You know?
And it's just some of that stuff too, like with like homophobes or certain words, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody's rude or somebody just does some shit that you don't like, you know what I mean? When you get into a verbal argument with someone, the first thing you're going to do is attack them, right? So if I say some shit some guy don't like, I mean, I doubt the first thing he's going to say, well, look here, buddy. The first thing he's going to be like, look, you fat fuck. Right? It doesn't mean he hates. He doesn't mean he hates all fat people. Yeah. He's just attacking me.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe the area or the world that we're in is not homophobic in Orange County, because I don't think it is. Right.
No, not at all.
But maybe in that specific instance, someone could have been, right. Not everyone to like say everyone's the same in a certain area. Or
yeah.
You know what I mean? So those kinds of things, I think we lose. People tend to forget. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're all human and we all make mistakes and we're all going to say some stupid shit. Especially when we're angry. You know what I mean? I say some fucked up shit, especially driving. If y'all ever seen the Goofy skit that you watch in traffic school, because I've been there a whole bunch of times, where he turns into this evil person when he's driving.
Get off my road! Move over! Let me pass!
That's 1,000% me. So when I'm driving, I'm this chill dude, and I'm driving. But if you come out, I'm like, in my head, I'm screaming, "You stupid mother son of a!" And I look over, and it's this old guy like, and I'm like, just shut up, and I just keep driving.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing. But it ain't their fault, right? It's just in my world, I'm king of the road and blah blah blah, and you just. But that's how I'm in my head, you know. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy thing.
Yeah. So Frankie, you've known me for about a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, within that year, I started this whole spiritual journey, healing, transformation, everything. And within that year, I've been coming to your gym.
Yeah.
So it's interesting from when I met you to now that I'm sitting here and, you know, you've changed this room into a podcast room. And here I am talking about a story that was yet to become back when I met you. I think it's really interesting how the universe brings people in certain places at certain times. Like, I know we had talked about doing this, but I wasn't expecting
a video.
Yeah, I was not expecting a video, first off. Okay, you know how I am about like photography and everything. I had to, you know, make sure the lighting was right, make sure I was right. I thought it was just going to be, when you say podcast, I thought it was like audio.
Well, that's normal for people, but for me, it's I vlog everything from my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow my YouTube, so I want to eventually add all this stuff to an audio platform. I just haven't got there. So for me, I'm so fly by night with this stuff, meaning I don't care. You see what you get with me, and I am who I am. I don't take too much time to think about what I post when I post it, hours, times. But if that's your life and what you do, like you model, you do these things, right? So you understand lighting and all this stuff. Me, I bought them. I faced them a certain way. I turned them on and, all right, we got lights. Let's do it. Like,
we had to do some adjusting, some light adjusting. I brought some flowers, fake flowers. I love fake flowers because they don't die.
Yeah.
I brought my favorite candle from, it's rose petal ice cream, and I brought some protection crystals, and I brought this tiger that's eating a skull. It's from my ayahuasca journey, and this represents a new life, the ego death, the death of an old you, and the rebirth of a newer you. So I think it was going to be symbolic about what we were going to talk about today. And you knew me before I had my my ayahuasca experience.
Yeah.
And I was talking about it, how crazy it was going to be, and I did it, and now I'm here. And I feel like a completely different person, you know?
In a good way.
Yeah, of course. No, in a good way. It was just, I mean, so much has changed for me in my life. I mentioned to you that journaling and writing has been kind of like an outlet for me this past year, especially just because my life dramatically changed from last year to this year, and I had to really evaluate where I wanted to go and how I was going to take charge of my life. And there's a excerpt from my journal that I wrote that I think kind of is in line with what we wanted to talk about today, and I would like to share that if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Yeah, so as much as people like to promote mental wellness, no one truly wants to admit that they're suffering themselves. How could they? We are conditioned to take our pretty pictures for Instagram and show the world we are living these fabulous lives. Yet most of us carry this heavy burden within us. I would crack jokes, smile, and make outlandish remarks all day to the people around me, yet I was suffering inside. I would act as if I was present on a daily basis, yet my mind would be stuck on a spiral of triggering thoughts that would at times consume my spirit. Sometimes if I wasn't careful, people could see it on my face and would ask if I was okay. I would immediately break back into character and swear up and down I was fine. I secretly carried this burden for years. My childhood trauma had subconsciously conditioned me to be at odds with myself. I had an inner bully that ruled my thoughts, which caused me to feel like a prisoner in my own mind. I mastered compartmentalization. I became an obsessive control freak, which fueled my determination at work. However, the practices that I used to become successful led me to suffer in my personal life. I tried psychotropic medication a couple years ago, and yes, that worked temporarily, but it wasn't for me, so I tapered off. I felt like I was only putting a band-aid on the surface of a pain that was deeply rooted within me. This was beyond just clinical depression. I found myself running away from dealing with my childhood trauma by trying to heal other people's trauma, not knowing it was shattering myself in the process. They call that codependency, and codependent people often end up in toxic, abusive relationships with other emotionally unavailable people. I kept meeting people that all mirrored an unhealed version of myself time and time again. I was obsessed with potential, not reality. There was a karmic purpose to this, and once I embraced the lesson, it became the catalyst for my transformation. I hit rock bottom a year ago and decided I had had enough. My self-esteem had completely disintegrated, and I didn't recognize who I was anymore. I had become great at keeping my loved ones at just enough of a distance where they didn't know what was going on beneath the surface. This time, I couldn't pretend to be perfect anymore. I was defeated, exhausted, and I needed help. It was time to look at the role that I played in my own suffering. So I surrendered, and that's where this journey began.
Damn. It's heavy shit, and I guarantee you there's probably a lot of people that might feel the same.
Yeah. So that basically summed up where I was a year ago. That made me decide to start this journey that I've been on. Mm-hmm. I had gotten to a point in my life where I was, stuck in another toxic relationship. And there was an altercation. And I remember sitting on the couch and thinking to myself, how did I become my mother? How did I get here? How did I allow myself to be in the same position that my mother was when I would sit there as a kid and watch her be abused by my dad. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, everything changed for me. I was like, this is never going to repeat itself ever again. I never want to feel like this. I never want to be here. I never want to feel this low. And that's when I decided to change my life. Wow.
Yeah. It's tough, huh?
It is. It is tough. It is tough.
People looking inside, and anyone to tell themselves that, hey, you could be part of the problem is a really hard thing for people to do.
Yeah.
Taking ownership in someone's life is not easy.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. And creating change is even harder.
It is. And, you know, to me, I say this sentence. Every time I say this, there's like a reaction I get in my body. You know, it was time to take a look at the role that I played in my own suffering. And it's like a visceral reaction in my body because it's so true. Mm-hmm. You know, I think so many people go throughout their lives playing the victim.
Yeah.
Blaming other people for their problems, blaming the situation, blaming society. And it's really sad because it just limits them and they are forever the victim.
100%.
You know, I think for me, it was time for me to really take charge of my life and change it because I never wanted history to repeat itself ever again. My life depended on it.
Yeah.
And so I made it my priority. And that's how I ended up here. That's how I ended up doing plant medicine. That's what was the true catalyst, is when you hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm. So you said you hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
So when that happened, identifying it, and what did you do?
Well, I realized I needed to change a lot of things about myself, about my life, about my lifestyle, the people in my life. I realized that I couldn't go on being the same person. You know, you can't do the same thing and expect a different result. Mm-hmm. So first thing I did was fire my therapist. Because she clearly wasn't helping. I'm the type of person that I'm pretty self-aware. Well, most of the time. So with her, I literally felt like I was talking circles in therapy. I didn't really feel like it was effective for me.
Yeah.
And it was just very much like, okay, well, you know, just do you. And it was just very superficial advice. So after doing tons of research, I kind of went into this like research mode, like anything and everything I needed to do to transform myself. Like I was all about it. No matter what it was, I was going to dedicate as much time and resources to this transformation. I was like, it is time. I've been holding back. There's things I need to deal with, and I'm going to do this. So I fired my therapist. I found a EMDR therapist. Mm-hmm. EMDR is a form of hypnotherapy. Sure. Where you do reprocessing of trauma. So people that have PTSD, that have all types of childhood trauma, or you know, any type of anxiety, this is great for them because it addresses the source of the trauma, mm-hmm. when it happened, how it happened, and you go into a hypno state where you're able to go back in time to when that trauma initially happened, typically in childhood, and reprocess that. So it's not as painful and it doesn't keep coming up as a trauma response in your life. And I've done about 35 sessions. I actually just got discharged. My therapist is like, you don't need me anymore. And I'm like, no. Love EMDR. So that was one thing I did.
Okay. And real quick, disclaimer. For all you fucks out there who are doing therapy, that doesn't mean go fire your therapist tomorrow because he did. The reason I say that is because I believe in therapy. There's different types of therapy. And sometimes you don't mesh with your therapist. Sometimes your therapist is a old burnt out motherfucker who just is there to collect a paycheck like any other job. And it took me 2 therapists to find mine, and bitch is a goat.
That is so important.
But you also have to be willing to face certain things, and you're going at it from a head on.
Yeah, I was ready for it.
And some people ain't ready for that. So
yeah, it's EMDR is definitely not for everybody.
Yeah.
But it is a newer form of therapy, and I feel like most people go to therapy is because they kind of deal with all the little things that happened in their life because of that trauma, and they're kind of like peeling at things that are not really helping the issue at core. This dives right in, and you have to be open to being in a going under, being in a hypnotic state, and it's been a really interesting process, and that actually helped me as a precursor for plant medicine, because you have to completely surrender. It's all about surrendering. When you're at a point where you're just like, fuck it, what I've been doing is not working. I need to try something new. I need to surrender. I need to let go, bring it on. So I did that. Next thing I did was hire a life coach. I had been following this amazing lady on Instagram, and I started, I contacted her and I hired her, and I started going through her curriculum. And with life coach, basically, I still do a lot of journaling and what we call shadow work. Are you familiar with what shadow work is?
Not the technical name. I might be familiar with the work, but not the name of it.
Well, I didn't know what shadow work was up until a year ago. I was like, what the fuck is that? Shadow work is basically dealing with exploring how I had sabotaged myself in my life. Going through the dark stuff. That's why they call it shadow. And really being able to expand upon that and write about that and dig into like things that were really hard. I mean, I would get topics to journal about, and there were some days where I'm just like, fuck, this is really raw. So
it's crazy when you start writing too, because all of a sudden 2 sentences turns into a paragraph turns into 3 pages.
Yeah, I could write a series of books by now with all the journaling that I've done, but it is amazing because you're like, fuck, that's what was going on? This is where this comes from? And just having like an outlet every day just to kind of like see where my thoughts are, but you really get to connect your conscious and your subconscious mind together. Another thing that I did, which was phenomenal, was I stopped watching TV. I stopped.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was like really depressed, I would use TV as a distraction from dealing with what was going on beneath the surface. I would spend like sometimes 4 hours a day at night when I should be getting sleep, just watching TV, or sometimes even more, because it was the only time that my mind would kind of shut off.
Yeah.
I would just kind of go numb and watch these like murder documentaries and crime shows and just stuff that, like, little did I know, like all that negative stuff I was watching was actually making my depression worse, but I just was numb. I didn't want to deal with it, so I would just spend hours just watching TV. So I stopped doing that and I started listening to audiobooks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's really hard for me to sit and just like read a book page by page. I really don't have the patience for that, but there were so many topics and interests with self-help and psychology and this and that I needed to learn about as I was growing and learning about different concepts and different things that I found that like doing audiobooks really helped, because I would literally just put on an audiobook and listen to it an hour here, an hour there, 30 minutes here in the car. And I've gone through 35 titles year to date. I mean, I've read everything from, anything about codependency. That's a big one. Had to read several books about that. Attachment styles, anxious attachment styles, books about healing trauma, books about relationships, everything. And I found it just so fulfilling, you know, because I'm actually learning something, and I'm learning this content that's not only helping me, but it's helping me help other people. So that was like that. I mean, if you can't afford therapy, download Audible and start buying some books and start reading it. No, I swear to God, that to me has been amazing. And it was just kind of like, I feel like I'm just using my time more efficiently with just doing that. Another thing I learned, I have this as step 4, was how to soothe my nervous system. What I didn't realize is when you're anxious, or when you're going through like anything, you have anxiety, depression, whatever, you're anxious, your nervous system is completely unregulated. It's like out of whack. So I learned to listen to my body. I learned to see where I hold tension and stress, where it is, and at my core. And it really has a lot to do with your chakras too. But I started doing yoga. Meditating has been like so critical for me in this process. Spending time in nature, just doing things to really help to kind of soothe myself, because, you know, there could be so much stuff going on in your mind, but your body carries the weight of stress and, you know, all these emotions. So you have to, obviously, you know, you own a gym, you know that, like, you know, if you're not physically active, or if you're not doing things to kind of, you know, soothe yourself, then you're actually making your depression worse.
100%.
So that was a big thing for me. Also, detoxing my life from people, places, and things that no longer aligned with who I wanted to be and who I was becoming. I had to stop talking to a lot of friends. I had to start really looking at the energy of the people around me. And that's like a huge thing. And that was also hard because I found myself alienating myself a lot. But I also put myself out there to make new friends. And not just kind of say, okay, well, everyone's toxic and they're not on my vibration, so, you know, fuck all of you guys, I'm just going to be alone. No, there are people that you can connect with and people that inspire you. Like, I want to be around people that inspire me. I don't want to be around people that are negative, that gossip, that, you know, just kind of bring my energy down. So if it was negative or it didn't make me feel good, cut, that's out. And then, of course, plant medicine. Ta-da! That was kind of like on my list of like, I'm going to do this. This is where I want to eventually, you know, propel my journey to. And all these things kind of help me get there. And actually, it made the process easier because I had already kind of, you know, opened Pandora's box, you know, for months of, you know, doing the therapy, reading the books, you know, doing the life coach, doing the yoga. I mean, it's so much shit was just coming out left and right that I had kind of been holding for years. Yeah. I call it compartmentalizing. We compartmentalize what we don't want to deal with. Yeah. You know, stuff that's inside, and we wonder why we, you know, have toxic relationships. We wonder why we have so much anxiety. We wonder why certain things trigger us so much, you know, and until you deal with it beneath the surface, I mean, it will continue to sabotage you. Yeah.
Your end was plant medicine.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah, that's huge. So I actually, like, once again, this is something that I've only kind of discovered within the past year. by accident, I discovered the therapeutic benefits of plant medicine. I had gone to Idlewild with an ex-boyfriend, and I decided to take psilocybin mushrooms. You know, we thought we were just gonna have like this cool, trippy, psychedelic, fun experience. And you know, I had read about how, like, at the time, that was like my first delve into plant medicine. I had read a lot about how mushrooms were, you know, can help with people with like depression and this and that and the other. But I also knew that like it was just like, you know, like a fun kind of like a high, whatever. So, you know, I prepared it, did all the research. I consumed the psilocybin in the forest because you want to be, you know, in a nice atmosphere to go through this. And what happened, I was not expecting. It was weird because all of a sudden, like, I was taken back to my childhood, being in a classroom and just kind of feeling these like really heavy emotions of not being accepted as a kid. I was constantly, you know, as a child having a learning disability, ADHD, I was constantly being told that I was either too much or not enough. And that really affected me as a child because I felt like I had no voice. And when I did use my voice, I was told to shut up, or that I was too much, or that I was disruptive. Or, you know, my 5th grade teacher, she had a desk in the back of the room, and that's where I sat because I was just too chatty. So I had to go and sit in the back of the class, not with everyone else, because I was too disruptive. And all this started coming up for me while I'm tripping on mushrooms, right? And so I'm thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna have this cool psychedelic experience. And then like this rush of just these emotions coming out, it's like a release. And I was just bawling. And you know, my ex looked at me like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened to you, you know? But now looking back at it then, I was called to the medicine. That's how the universe kind of called me to this practice. I did the mushrooms. It was just this crazy experience of like, you know, it was like a release of like, I don't give a fuck what people think. I'm not going to be quiet. I'm going to express myself. It was kind of like my first delve into the healing benefits of plant medicine. So that felt amazing because, you know, I'm crying, and then I'm laughing, and then I'm just like, you know, in this state of bliss. And I just felt like, wow, that was like a full-on therapy session. The message that I got from that was, you know, was really powerful. And it kind of showed me how, like, in my life I had kind of put myself in a box just from being in a box as a kid. So that was kind of like my first delve into it. And as when I went through this experience last year, I had watched documentaries on ayahuasca. And of course, you know, you see people throwing up and hallucinating, and just, it's just fucking crazy. You know, everyone talks about the death. Yeah. You die. And you do. There's a death. It's an ego death. And so I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And just all of a sudden, just this year, I was just like, you know what? I want to do ayahuasca. I want to do plant medicine. In fact, the more the better. I'm ready for it. Bring it on. You know? And I started doing research. And at this point, I had already done the mushrooms, and I kind of was like, okay, that was like my first delve into it. So I was like, wow, this is pretty powerful stuff. Like, this is amazing. And so when I was, you know, doing my little research, I came across a spiritual organization called Arcana. and they are based in the Amazon in Peru, and they have a satellite location in Yucatan, Mexico. And I've always been we've talked about Mexico before. I love Mexico. I've always been very drawn to Mexico, and I've been to a lot of cities in Mexico. I love it. I don't know, maybe I was Mexican in a past life, you know, maybe that's it, but I don't know, but I just kind of connected with that. So I did the research on Arcana. I went on Reddit. I just felt, I also looked at other facilities that do these spiritual retreats. And so I connected with it. I went online, booked it for April, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it. The itinerary was a week in the Yucatan jungle. It was a series of plant medicine ceremonies. They fly in their shamans from Peru. So these are not local shamans. These are, you know, world recognized Mayan shamans from Peru that they fly in just to do these ceremonies. So it's facilitated by like a wonderful crew. They have the shamans. They have, you know, it's like every day it's like a schedule of like yoga, do this, do that, do group share, and then the ceremonies are at night. Yeah. It's an all-night experience.
Was this on your own, or did you take someone with you?
No, I did this all by myself. I did it all by myself. It all happened so quickly for me, but I was like, I need to do this. I had a calling to it. I booked the trip, and it's funny because have you ever watched 9 Perfect Strangers? No? Okay. So for any of you that have watched 9 Perfect Strangers, is this very similar to kind of what a luxury spiritual retreat is like. Yeah. You know, there's a schedule for you every day. You eat, you know, I had to prepare for like a month in advance on a dieta. So I, you know, went on a vegan cleanse. I abstained from sex, abstained from coffee. I had to really kind of purify myself for this experience. Mm-hmm. Just because, you know, the cleaner you are, the more the beneficial it is with the plant medicine, because this has been used for thousands of years. You know, there wasn't the preservatives and the shit that we consume these days. Correct. They didn't have back then. So in order for the medicine to work at its optimal level, you have to follow the dieta. So I did that. I went. It was really interesting because there was the most diverse crowd of people. I mean, we're talking doctors, lawyers, people in the police force, lots of people that were. There was like 3 people that were in the police force. There was somebody from the CIA. I mean, like big people. And I could see why they would want to do plant medicine because, you know, of probably the trauma that they've seen in their work and the weight that has carried, you know, with them. So it was definitely a crowd that was probably more conservative. So I could tell because every time I would like crack a dirty joke, it was like very like, you know, some people kind of would look like, ooh, I want to laugh, but that might be a little inappropriate.
Well, I think inappropriate. That, like, the first time,
because you know I got a dirty mouth, you know I got.
But it's the same thing, right? Like if somebody says something, like if I hear a guy go say, "Damn, bro, I was da 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 da," and you know what it is because you know what it is, right? Like, yeah, he fucked a chick, so he understands what I'm talking about. But when you say something, it's like, oh, I had to abstain from sex, and I'm like, immediately you go into your head, and you're like, I'm not supposed to think about a guy fucking a guy. Like, wait a minute, like, so they're going into their head, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, touching a place that it's perverse to them. So yeah, that's why they have these thoughts, right? You know, and we talked about this with Aries last night about cracking jokes and people being hypersensitive, especially here. I was like, yo, bro, fuck, yo, weird. Like, who cares? Like, yeah. Like your trainer, we don't have to say who they are, but I could talk to you about jokes and shit and laugh with you because I think it's fucking funny.
Yeah, we've talked about straight sex, gay sex.
He ain't want no part of that.
Yeah.
He freaks out. So it cracks me up though.
Yeah, he's lived a sheltered Orange County life.
For sure. But,
so,
and I mean, I haven't gone through my own fair share of stuff, but
yeah.
I think with that stuff is just, I don't know. I think once you're comfortable with who you are and what you're about, you know, like I fought and I wore pink.
Yeah.
When I fought. I always, so people are like, Frank, why you wear pink shirts?
And that's my favorite color. I don't wear it, but it's my favorite color.
Pink and black are like, those. My daughter always asks, Dad, what's your favorite color? It's like pink and black, the combo. Not one or the other, but the combo together. Like, so Marines made me this because they knew I love pink and black, so they made me the wood flag, right? And, but yeah, when I fought, I wore pink, and people were like, Frank, why you do that? It's like super flamboyant. I said, because that's the point, right?
You're a rebel. It's an act of rebellion.
Yeah, but I'm an anomaly, right? I don't fit what a fighter should look like. I don't fit what a big person should move like, right? So for those reasons, it was even funner to me to have the 6'5" big ripped dude face the shorter stubby fat guy, and he just get his ass whooped, and he was wearing pink on top of it, and he walked out to Michael Jackson doing it. Yeah, I was just like, fuck, I lost that guy, but yep, you did. So I don't care. You know what I mean?
This guy definitely has swagger. I mean, with his shoes, his outfits, definitely. So
I've told people, I say it all the time, man. I was gay in my past life. Like interior decorating, is my jive. Like doing all this stuff, like doing all this shit.
This is very cute.
Like the lights and all this stuff was super fun to me.
And you
like,
redid the carpet? Even the carpet looks clean in here.
Yeah, we shampooed it, did all that. I got a little throw rug. Y'all can't see that because it's behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. But building it and doing it was just as fun as doing the podcast. You know, I love that kind of stuff.
This was like, for those of you out there, this was like this shitty little storage room.
Just horrible.
At one point. And I won't divulge too much information about that. But yeah, it was definitely, it smelled. It was, It's no bueno. And he completely transformed it into this like little
oasis.
podcast.
It's my little oasis
lounge. It's nice. It's nice. And is this a candle?
Yeah.
Oh, so you have your own little candle.
I love, again.
Yeah.
My past life for sure.
For sure. Well, maybe, or you just have taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, right? Like, but if you're a guy and you're straight, you're not allowed to do these things. So we say these comments to allow it to be okay and take the pressure off, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's never to make offense or to hurt people. It's just, it is what it is. You know?
Yeah.
But no, people know the first thing I do is when I go down places, I'm always in the home decor section. I was always checking out candles. Like, bleh. Ooh, buying that one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I have a diffuser in my office, all the oils and all that shit. Like, I love all that stuff.
I love that. I'm all about color, scent. What do I always say? What the fuck do I always say? Color and scent are really important for me.
Yeah.
Because it completely enrolls you into the vibe, into the mood, everything. So, you know, like my place has a very particular type of decor with colors, and that's what I like. It makes me feel at home. It makes me feel at ease, calm.
Yeah. Yep. That's my grandpa's who I spent a lot of my time with, who I looked up to, was my dude, right?
Yeah.
And he always had browns and things in his house, and he loved to garden and plants and trees, and he was just old school. So the old school lights, the plants, the brown couch, you know what I mean? Everything comes together in a way that makes you comfortable. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'll be here. We'll talk about some uncomfortable shit, but I'm comfortable because it's my setting. You know what I mean? So when you wanted to bring stuff, I told you, I was like, you bring what you want, whatever. Like, I don't give a fuck.
I didn't even, did I ask you, or did I say I'm bringing some things?
Yeah, you said, like, I'm going to bring some stuff. Is that cool? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, fuck. Whatever makes people comfortable, because I need to be comfortable. I don't want to walk in, like, anybody who knows me, if we go to a restaurant or I go out somewhere, they're like, oh, where would you like to sit, inside or outside? I was like, anywhere that's a table. No fucking booths, because they ain't big belly friendly. You know what I mean? I cracked the joke, but it's the truth, right? Because it's uncomfortable for me.
I'm all about the lighting. Don't sit me right under a lamp. I need to be in like low lighting, dark, atmospheric, all of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's important.
But it's what's comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get it.
So going back to the retreat, so it was just this very conservative but very diverse crowd of wonderful, wonderful people that actually became like a family for me while I was there. It's interesting because like I would, there was so many guys from like just like you, some completely different walks of life, and that I never thought that I would ever be able to relate to. First of all, the group was mostly men.
Yeah.
Real kind of like manly men with like real serious like jobs, like from the South, like really just a crowd that
straight.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. There was like 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. I don't
2
know.
for sure.
2 for sure, and that and then maybes or assumptions on my part. I don't know. In the crowd, but that didn't matter because I felt at home with everybody there, because you're going into this experience, and so you're in a very vulnerable position, and so with other people who are there opening themselves up in that same position, so it's you're gonna be able to relate to that kind of shield that we give off to the world, or that kind of separation. But there was none of that. It just felt like a beautiful family, and I related to people that I never thought I would relate to in my life, but it had nothing, because at the end of the day, we're all the same.
I agree.
Career, money, race, religion, orientation, none of that fucking matters. We all, at our core, we're humans. And there's something really beautiful about, being able to relate to another human being on that core level, like a brotherhood almost. And I definitely felt that with this team. We still actually talk today in a WhatsApp group. I don't always respond, but I read all the stuff, you guys, because you guys are going to be watching. So I was there for a week at this amazing group of people, and every day was like an agenda of like what you're doing, yoga, food, everything on a schedule. But every day, except for like 1 or 2 days, was we partook in plant medicine. So the first day, we got there was at nighttime. We did peyote. Peyote comes from a cactus. Peyote comes from a cactus. It is a psychedelic that's been used for since ancient times, and it's cut up and you eat it just like raw, and you also drink the tea. So we had the first night was the peyote ceremony, and every medicine has like a they call it like masculine energy and feminine energy, and peyote is a masculine medicine. So it is like a grandfather medicine, basically. And so the first night we did, we go around this huge, mind you, we're on the most beautiful private, like tropical compound ever. It's like greenery, lakes, pools. I mean, it's just, you're in this utopia. I mean, I posted stuff on my Instagram. So, every night when we did these ceremonies, it was, aside from ayahuasca, we would be around these big circles and in the fire pit outside. So, and everything was like, there was music playing. They had, the shamans playing their, instruments and doing their prayers, and just, you had your journal there the whole time, because, you're getting all these thoughts and ideas, and, you're writing it down throughout the process, but everything is done in a ceremonial setting. So we did the peyote the first night, and it's a psychedelic. It is a medicine. So when you do plant medicine, depending on where you are on your journey, where you are in your healing, or what you've addressed in your life, it's going to come out. So everybody's reaction on psychedelics is going to be completely different. It is completely based on where they're at in their life and how much digging they've done. It's like peeling an onion. So for me, the months prior, I had been doing all types of, inner child therapy. I was in an inner child two workshops. I had read books. That was like a big thing for me. Was very aware that I needed to soothe my inner child, because that kept coming up for me in my life. That, the fact that I had a tough childhood and I still had this angry child within me. So I was very familiar with, especially in EMDR therapy. When I would do EMDR therapy, she would put me in a state of hypnosis and I would go right back to when I was 4, right back to when I was 5, 7, 6, wherever, whether it was in a classroom or at home. And it was almost like, the movie Ghost?
Yeah.
Okay, it was almost like I was in a room, sitting there, watching myself very clearly, seeing and hearing myself as a kid very clearly. And I'm just kind of observing what was happening at that point. So going back to peyote, even though I was under hypnosis, I was seeing myself as a kid and we were reprocessing that trauma, so it doesn't affect me anymore. I would still see myself and hear myself, but I would never be able to talk to myself because it was just like he couldn't hear me or see me, my inner child, which was me. So when I did peyote, you start going under. You take the medicine and then you lay down and then all of a sudden you just feel things, you hear things. And I kept hearing this voice. I hear you, I see you. I hear you, I see you. And I got up and I take a pen and I'm like, I need to write this down. This is a message I'm getting. I hear you, I see you. And then all of a sudden, I see this little boy from the distance just running towards me. And it's me. He's running towards me and he sits down in front of me. And it's like, I hear you, I see you, I hear you, I see you. And that voice keeps getting louder and louder. And here right in front of me is me as a little boy. But for the first time, he's addressing me. I'm able to talk to him. He looks at me and he's happy. He's goofy. Like I'm a goofy guy. Most people don't know that. I'm a jokester. I love to be goofy and silly. And I think the part of the reason why I have this kind of like immature humor is I think has to do with the fact that I didn't get to be enough of a kid like I wanted to.
Had to grow up too fast.
I grew up too fast.
Yeah.
I didn't get to have as much fun as I would like to because I didn't like being a kid. I had to grow up fast. I had to be an adult because the world was not suited for me as a child. I hated being a child. And there was very few moments of fun.
Was that because of the childhood upbringing or because you knew you were gay?
Well, that was one thing, but it was, I was gay, I was different, I was fat, I was femme, I was not accepted at school, and when I went home, my parents had their own dysfunctional marriage. My mother was in a domestically violent situation with my father. My father was physically abusive, so I didn't feel seen or heard as a child. So that kind of caused me to really go inward. And, home life is fucked. And then I was going to school and being bullied. And when I spoke up about it, I was never heard.
Yeah.
It was always like, well, that's your fault. Well, maybe you shouldn't talk like this, or maybe you shouldn't wear your shorts like that. Or I just felt like I had no voice, like I was not safe. And that was kind of like the precursor to how it conditioned me as an adult, how I ended up in this situation.
Sure.
So going back to, all this inner child work that I've done, finally my inner child is sitting right in front of me as a child. And mind you, I can see and hear myself so clearly. It's such a trip. And he looks at me and he says, I don't want to be sad anymore. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
It's time to have fun. I want to have fun now. I don't want to be sad anymore, Edvin. And that was like so healing for me, because it was, you know, you spend so much time doing, you know, the therapy and this and working on like reprocessing trauma, and you know, you forget that, you know, like I've put those issues to bed.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm at peace with that now.
There's a lot more to life.
Yeah, there's a lot more to life. Like I've processed it and I've understood it, and it's not painful there anymore. And the fact that I was able to connect with my inner child means that I'm able to have a relationship with that little boy who was hurt for so many years, who was misunderstood, and he wants to have fun now. Mm-hmm. He wants to embrace fun as an adult. He doesn't want to sit there in a place of sadness anymore. He doesn't want those, you know, those issues and that fear, that social fear, that bullying and, you know, the anxiety that plagued him as a child to play into his adulthood. He wants to have fun. And he told me straight up, like, I want to have fun. And like my whole demeanor changed. I just started smiling and giving people these funny looks, and it was beautiful. And that was a lesson on its own. That was kind of like me putting that, comforting my inner child, but kind of putting that to bed, because I had processed that already. So that was what I got from peyote. And just the next day, it was like, you know, you do this medicine, and not only that, but like I'm surrounded by people that they're going through their own stuff around me.
And there were some bad trips, right?
Oh yeah. That is probably, and that I saw more so with ayahuasca. I mean, you'll straight up, you know, when people ask me about this, I say it's the most beautiful thing. It's the most spiritual experience, but it's also a demonic experience as well, and an angelic, because you will see and hear demonic entities coming out from people, and that's something I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
And that was a trip. But you learn when you're on the medicine that, like, you know, whatever you hear or see, those people are safe. You know, they're in a safe space. The shamans are there. The atmosphere is right. Like, that's a release for them. So even though it might look or feel or scary, you know, because people are throwing up, they're screaming at the top of their lungs, their bodies are contorting, like stuff that you'll see out of a scary movie. I mean, this is like trippy fucking shit. Just the way people move or whatever. But that's okay, because that is, you know, a trauma that they've had inert in their body, that they've been holding in their body, that's now coming out, whether it's a demon, whether it's a feeling or whatever. So they're going to be okay. But going back to that, the lady next to me, you know, I was on my own trip, and then all of a sudden I feel this presence of like a... And my dumb ass turns around and says, I feel like there's an old woman here. No, I felt a presence of a very old entity, like an old woman. And I just kind of, every time I'd feel something, I got up and I'm like, what? And I looked to this lovely lady, Brenda, who she's going to be watching, next to me. And all of a sudden she starts singing like this ancient, beautiful song, like a Mayan, it was a Mexican song. And this wasn't her. This was her ancestors singing through her. Mm-hmm. And it was the most beautiful thing. And then another girl got up, and her, you know, a spirit started singing through her too. And mind you, when I say this is not their voice. Mm-hmm. This is not like, oh, Brenda got up and she started singing. No. Brenda's ancestor entered her body and started singing. Mm-hmm. This is not the Brenda that I know. And they started playing instruments, the shamans, and it was just such a beautiful experience. So, I mean, you're not prepared for what you're going to see. But that can be a little scary for some. But like I said, you're in a safe environment, and you know that these people... they're healing. Whatever's coming out is going to come out for them. It's like peeling an onion. So it's like surface of an onion. So depending on how much, like I've said before, depending on how much personal development you've done, it's going to pick up where you've left off or where, you know, you need to work on. The medicine is uniquely different on everybody. So that was the first night. The second night was ayahuasca. And it's the way that they do it's everything is so meticulously planned. Everything from, you know, the scents that they use, the clothes that they wear, the songs that they sing, it's all like there to kind of aid you through this process and to you know, make it such a divine spiritual experience. It's and that's the hard part too, is that not everyone's going to understand what I'm saying. It's going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but until you've done it and been there, then you kind of get it.
Sure.
But you know, I am in a environment where you do want me to speak about these things, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
The first night of ayahuasca, you know, you go in a particular line. Everyone has a bed and they're next to each other, assigned. And I think that personally, I think that, and I think I confirmed this too. So every group of people, or the people that were around, kind of were in a strategically, purposely were placed next to each other. I think that the people dealing with the same kind of trauma were in one section, another type of trauma in another. So, you know, I was next to gentlemen that one I knew for sure, but gentlemen that I believed that we all were dealing with, you know, childhood trauma. So we were in that specific, I guess, zone together. And I could just kind of scan through the room and I could just say, okay, I know why they're there, or whatever. So you go in a line, everyone's called to take the medicine, you drink it. And while you're taking the medicine, there's the shamans around you are doing prayers around you while you're intaking, and, you know, you show your appreciation to the medicine, you respect the medicine. That's really important. When you do this, there's a level of respect that you show to, you know, your surrounding people, but the respect that you show to the medicine for it to really truly work with you. And that has a lot to do with the surrendering as well. If you're not able to surrender fully, then this isn't going to work for you.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, they teach you to, you know, never push someone to try to do this. Never. You can only talk about your experience.
Yeah.
And people can talk about how you are or how you've changed, but the medicine chooses the people. You don't choose the medicine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not something that is in my power or in my place to tell people you should go try ayahuasca. You know, it worked for me, it'll work for you. No, if that's what's meant to happen, then the medicine will call you. So you take the medicine and God damn. Fuck. When people say it felt like I was dying, that's what they mean. It's a very interesting experience. I don't know if you've done psychedelics before, and I don't know if you ever want to. Maybe one day the medicine will call you.
Dude, I've 41 years old and I'm 41 years sober. I've never done drugs, been drunk, nothing.
Well, this is not a drug.
I mean,
let's make that
not
clear.
Even, not alcohol, cigarettes, weed, nothing, zero.
This is this is medicinal. So I have to make and they make this very clear. I have to make this clear that people don't go do these psychedelics because they want to get high. This is strictly for healing. So just to kind of put that disclaimer out there. So I took the ayahuasca the first night, and man, it's crazy. it's just you start. It's very much ayahuasca is very much a visual type of psychedelic. So you start seeing things around you. You start feeling things. The ideas come to you. Stuff about yourself. It's so intense. And the first night, it was like an eye opener for me, because you see, for me, it was like past, present, future. This is where you've been. This is where you are. This is where you have the potential to be, until you work on this, get rid of this, and really do this. So it was like kind of like a dominoes, like everything was moving so quickly. There was colors, there was so much around me, and it will take you to hell and back. It was just, I stood up in my bed, because it's, there's a mat on the floor, and I started getting all these messages like, okay, this is what happened in the past. Okay, I get that, and that's why I'm here right now, and this is why this just happened, because I'm still holding on to this. I'm still suffering from this. I need to get rid of that, because this is where my future is. This is where I could be. It was like Christmas future. What is it? What is it? Future Christmas, past, present, future. That Christmas Carol. Yeah. It was like that, but completely surreal. And you're getting all these messages throughout this whole experience. There's vivid colors. There's animals that you're seeing, and everything is like very symbolic. So that was the first night. It was very, very eye-opening, but it was also, I had realized that, like, wow, I had caused so much of my own suffering. I had, like, I was my own enemy. I was at war with myself. I was at war with myself every day. And it showed up with my interactions with people. And I realized why. Every time I would have an interaction with people, just like on a daily basis, subconsciously, I was always kind of searching for rejection. I was at fear of, like, okay, well, this is what they think of me. They think I'm not good enough. They're rejecting me, or like just kind of like this having to do with PTSD. This PTSD of me being bullied as a kid had caused me to be so fearful as an adult, where I was so I could be having a conversation with you, and I was so consumed, instead of being present to the conversation, I was more consumed with, are you judging me? Oh, you looked away at your phone. Oh, I must be boring you. Or you, you look down. Oh, you must not like my shoes. You must think this or that. And that caused me to never truly be present to exhausting. People. Yeah, that is exhausting. That's what I did my whole fucking life.
Yeah, fuck.
And I didn't know that. And that's why I have had so much social anxiety in the past. Yeah. For that very reason. Because I was so fucking scared what people thought of me. And that was, but it's interesting, because the way that the way that you see me is, you would never think that like, this motherfucker doesn't give a fuck what you think. Yes, to that degree, yes, but like in a personal interaction, that fear was always there. So I think that really had limited me in my life. In my interactions with people, with this social anxiety that I would constantly say that I had, that anxiety was this fear, this inert fear that I had been carrying around for years, that I could finally look in the face and face. I'm just like, wow, this is unnecessary. I am good enough. We have these stories in our minds that play through day in, day out, when we talk, when we do things, when we make decisions. It's, some people, it's, I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, I'm not worthy, whatever. This conversation that's diluting our minds every day.
And you gotta go through all the things that you did, you went through all this stuff to figure yourself out, right?
Yeah.
Like, and do all that. And now that you've done this stuff, I'm granted it's not done. It's a journey, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna always continue.
Yeah.
What were, like, was there or is there a major change that happened, like, right away? Did that have anything to do with relationships? Did you end relationships because of it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, personal or, like, you know, we all have people who we say are friends, but really they're acquaintances because they really don't add any value, or you don't add value to each other's life. They're just people you run into and you're civil and you're cordial. Like, hey, man, I seen you again. You know what I mean? But everyone likes to say that that's their friend when really it's like you guys don't talk, you don't interact, right?
Yeah. I had all these revelations, that being one. I realized that, you know, this war that I had been at with myself, that was very clear to me. And I finally, for the first time in my life, had sympathy towards myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was okay to let go of that. You know, one of the things that for me changed right away is, I feel like, you know, from what people tell me and what I feel, well, what I feel is I feel completely present to people. Mm-hmm. I can talk to people. I could look at them right in their eye. Yeah. And I don't feel this inner dialogue or inner story in my head of I'm not good enough or this or that or he's judging me. No, I'm able to be right here and 100% present to Frankie. Yeah. I'm able to look in his eyes and connect, be present in that moment without all this inner bullshit chatter. Yeah. That was a big thing for me. And that chatter throughout doing ayahuasca, like, it was very clear what this message was. It was all about, you know, you're ugly, you're not good enough, people don't like you, this and that. And it was like the voice kept getting louder and louder. So now it's like I reversed that. Now it's like in my mind, instead of having, when I have these triggering thoughts, I have the tools now. Now it's like, okay, I am loved. I love myself. I am good enough. I'm beautiful. I am capable. I am worthy. I say that shit to myself all day long now to kind of drown out any remnants of anything negative. Mm-hmm. And that helps a lot. So the way I view life is different. My interactions with people are different. I'm calmer. I don't stress about things.
Still don't watch TV.
I mean, I have kind of like...
But not all the negative shit.
No, honestly, like I'm very sensitive to energy, so I don't watch that crime shit anymore. Like, I want to watch stuff that, you know, make me happy, make me laugh.
That's me.
And I still listen to my audiobooks, and I still do, you know, my journaling, and that's really important for me, and that's a daily practice that isn't going to change for me. Mm-hmm. So just my view of myself has changed. I appreciate myself more. I could truly say that I love and honor myself more because I don't have these limiting beliefs of myself. Mm-hmm. These limiting beliefs of myself had caused me to get in that situation I was a year ago.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like I was worthy of having a happy or healthy relationship. I was complacent with abuse. Yeah. That was familiar to me as a child. So as an adult, I felt like, well, this is as good as it's going to get for me. Even though I was battling on a conscious level that I don't deserve to be treated this way.
Yeah.
This does not feel right. Subconsciously, I felt like, no, that's what I deserve.
And there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot of people like that are stuck in...
Breaking the cycle is a hard thing for people to do.
Yeah.
Because you have to be the one that's different and everyone is the same. Right?
Yeah. And it's, you know, you see people go their whole lives in toxic relationships, toxic friendships, you know, and it really all comes down to them. It's that belief you have in yourself. And the one thing, you know, one thing that I'm going to make very clear, I am so grateful for anyone that has been in my past. Mm-hmm. You know, these toxic situations I talk about, I wouldn't change it for a thing. Okay? I love these people and I will always love them. Yeah. You know, they were there for a purpose.
Right, they played a role.
They were the catalyst for my change, for this lesson. And I didn't learn it the first time it happened. So the universe had to, I went from one abusive relationship to another. And when I say the term abuse, that, I just want to clarify, that can mean verbal abuse, that can mean emotional abuse and or physical. But at the end of the day, it's abuse and it's toxic. And toxicity breeds toxicity. So when you're in a toxic scenario, you become toxic as well. You're walking on eggshells. You learn to be manipulative because you're afraid of, angering someone. So you're not at your best self either because you don't believe in yourself. You don't love yourself. A lot of women go through this, but I think men go through this as well. But men are probably afraid to talk about this. Men won't talk about this.
We all know how Frank feels about the whole men-women thing.
Yeah.
Men deal with this shit constantly. And real quick touch, because that's kind of a perfect thing, right? Like how women deal with this. The world that we're in right now is so pro-female, and this old view that we drag women by their hair and we're this alpha. That's just not how the world worked, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, women are against men and men are against women. It shouldn't be that way because women, you have some things you have to deal with, but you're in a much better position than you were years back. And if anything, in a better position than most of the guys, because now, especially with modern feminism, we're not just battling women, right? We're battling men too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the top 1% or whatever it is make all the money, but it's not like I'm a guy, go out and someone hands me money in a job. Yeah. I have to fight every other fucking dude that wants all that shit. And now I got to fight all the fucking girls who are saying that we're all toxic, this, that, and the other, because I want to be a strong, masculine man. That doesn't mean you're toxic, and it doesn't mean it's these bad things. It just means I'm trying to be the best version of me I can be, and because of that, we get this negative shit thrown at us. Yeah. Right? Which is shitty, because if we try to talk about it, dude, stop being a bitch. Yeah. Shut up. You're a dude, suck it up. But we've been told that from Jump Street.
I think definitely there's such a double standard when it comes to men, because we're taught as men to not show emotion because it's considered a weakness. We're taught that not to cry, not to, embrace those feelings. And what that does, it just kind of traumatizes us even more. We have just, men can go through just the same amount of trauma as a woman can go through. Different ways because of gender, but that doesn't mean it's less traumatic.
Correct.
And it can affect them in their life in many ways. So this whole, I see these groups on Instagram where it's like, where it's these pages on Instagram where I could like relate to the message, but it's like, a safe space for women. And I'm like, okay, but I'm a man and I went through that as well. Yeah. So I can relate to this content. So is this not a safe space for me? Or is this not is this a space that is only for women because only women go through this? Yeah. That I have a problem with.
You and me both.
And that's why I'm very vocal about this. I mean, men don't want to talk. No man is going to sit here. Well, I'm not saying no man, but it's really hard for men to sit here and talk about, these kind of domestic violence, emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal. It's really hard for people to talk about that, especially men. Yeah. It's there's always a safe space for women, but as far as men, it takes a lot of courage. And going back to my childhood had conditioned me to be complacent with it until I woke up one day and I was like, fuck this. I deserve better. This is never going to happen to me again. Yeah. I need to love myself. And I need to set a new standard for myself. And which a lot of people in these situations, you will hit a breaking point. And that's where you decide what you're going to do. And I hit that breaking point. And I know exactly what day it is. I remember what I was wearing, where I was sitting, and I was just like, no, this is never going to repeat itself again, because I'm going to heal, I'm going to change, I'm going to put every resource that I have and take as much time as possible into rediscovering myself and reinventing myself, you know? And I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a different person. Going back to what people notice, I don't have attachments to people, places, or things anymore. I used to be a control freak. And there is a joy in just letting things be as is. You know? There's a true peace that comes from let people be who they are.
Yeah.
And see how they're going to act. See what they would rather do instead of what you keep telling them to do. Mm-hmm. I was a big, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. You know, I don't feel appreciated, or I don't feel constantly. Because that's what I felt on a conscious level. Subconsciously, I didn't have a fucking boundary. I didn't understand boundaries. Boundaries were blurred for me. So I had to go back and, like, you know, learn boundaries. What are red flags? What is this? What, you know, relationships. Oh my God, I hired a whole coach for this. Now I'm like, wow, I see world in a whole, like, just different colors now. When I got back, I was out of it for a while.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like an alien. I was, you know, because I was grieving the loss of an old me.
Right. And so everything's new.
Yeah. So everything's new. And I also kind of felt sad for who I used to be. I was like, wow, man, you really felt that way about yourself? Mm-hmm. You really felt that low of yourself. And no one knew this, of course, you know. I put so much time and resources into fixing everything on the outside, right? This surgery, that, like, no expense spared. But in reality, and I don't regret any of that, I was kind of pushing down this insignificance that I felt deep inside, that I was distracting myself with things, trying to cover it up or make it look pretty. And until I actually, through plant medicine and through, you know, therapy and books, until I actually, you know, brought everything to the surface, examined it, looked at it, I'm like, damn, I'm really that way? Oh no, it's time to change. It's time to completely, you know, and that has to do with lifestyle. That has to do with, you know, my mindset. People that knew me 2 years ago or a couple years ago that meet me now, they say I'm nicer, I'm more patient. I allow things to be how they are. I mean, of course, I set boundaries, and I'm not in situations where I'm disrespected.
Yeah.
But I accept myself more.
Yeah.
So I'm able to accept you more. I'm able to allow you to be Frankie.
Yeah.
And embrace that, because I embrace myself now. Through the content that I learned that you're not in charge of fixing people.
Right.
You have two options when you meet people. Either you accept them for who they are, or you don't. There's never this in between. I was always at that in between because I was always trying to show my worth. Mm. Hey, I can fix you. Yeah. Love me. Yeah. I can do this for you. Yeah. You know, I can upgrade your life. But I was disintegrating myself in the process of trying to help others. Yeah. Which what I really needed to do was help myself. I would always seek people out that I felt were just, how should I say this? That needed me. I wanted to be needed. Mm-hmm. Because that made me feel seen and heard. I didn't feel that as a child. So I was seeking this out constantly in my interactions. Don't do that anymore. I know about every personality disorder out there, cluster B personality disorders, because I've come in contact with every one of those types of people. Mm-hmm. So I had to really learn red flags, with meeting people, boundaries, but just my intuition is at a heightened state. psychically I can feel things and see things at such a deeper level. I can smell things. So it's like I am not even in the same those types of people that came into my life before are not there anymore. The vibration that I have now that I put out, it just has attracted a whole different type of person. One of the hardest things I had to do coming back, being that I felt like an alien, was now putting into practice how I set boundaries with people. That was hard. Yeah. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to tell somebody, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this. Or in my gut feeling when something didn't feel right, I didn't quite know that I should express that I wasn't feeling good about this or good about this interaction. So now I use terms like, you know what, I'm sorry, but I really don't think I can hold space for you. You know, good luck. Yeah. Or I've worked a lot on myself to bring myself out of the dark hole that you're in right now. So I really don't think I'm available for you. AKA, I'm not here to fix you, bro. Yeah. You got to do that shit on your own. I did that shit on my own. You can't change people. I mean, look how hard it is to change yourself. Facts. Look how hard it is to fucking change yourself. Look what I've gone through doing this. How the hell are you going to expect someone else to change?
There's so many people that want change, but they don't want to do the work to do the change. Yeah. Right? It's not, you just wake up tomorrow.
You have to walk that path alone.
Yeah. And
you have to face your fucking demons. And my demons was that little boy. You know, it all stemmed from him. Had nothing to do with this ex or that ex or this friend. Those people were just were byproducts. Everybody is a byproduct. That's why therapy didn't work for me, because you're dealing with the byproducts of the core issue that you need to deal with. It was time to deal with that core. And so that's what needed to be done. Yeah. So yeah, life was not about distractions anymore. It's now about goals. Everyone's always, I felt like even with me, TV was a distraction. Plastic surgery was a distraction. I'll be honest. Yeah. I don't regret it, but it was a distraction at the time. Have I done some fucked up things to myself and other people in the past? Yeah. But I've forgiven myself for that. I did the best that I could with who I was then. Sure. And there's so much power in saying that, because I'm at peace with it. You know better, you do better. I'm not going to beat myself up about who I was, a year or two ago, because at that point in my life, those were the survival tactics that I had. Yeah. Until I stepped away and decided to look at all that, I didn't know. And I see that with other people as well. Like I don't blame anybody in my life or anybody that's, been in my past, because I believe that they were meant to be there. Correct. I am grateful that they were there, because if they weren't there, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. Simple as that.
I understand that.
I'm happy.
So, I mean, I have my issues. Like I know when I do something stupid. Like I know one of my coping skills is retail therapy, right? Like when I'm stressed out and tripping, I go buy cards. I'm a sports card collector. I like cards, right? But sometimes cards are fucking expensive, especially when you got cash, right? But I love going to the card shop. I love the smell of the place, picking out the box of cards, taking them home, ripping the packs, sorting. You do all that stuff because it's a temporary fix, right? Stress, whatever. But I understand I understand why I'm doing it. I've come to conclusions with all those things, right? And you touching back with the surgeries and stuff like that, because that's a big part of your persona, right? Your social media, so on and so forth. Yeah. I wanted to touch on some of those points, like kind of like a fire round, like a quick just tuk, 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 and quick response. Yeah. How many surgeries?
Oh God. I love this question. I lost count. Fuck. I mean, like,
We talking?
This is the thing. Because you, I believe in doing multiple procedures in a surgery, so you don't have to keep going under. So I don't have like a big, count of how many surgeries I have had. Maybe like 5, but like going under general anesthesia. But I've done a shitload of procedures during those surgeries, like a lot of things. So there's a difference between the amount of surgeries and the amount of procedures that you've done. And if they've been under or, under local or under general. So that's like a multi-tiered answer.
Okay, so how about dollar? We talking $500,000, $250,000, millions?
I don't like talking about money, but it's not cheap.
I don't think it is.
No. But also I have a wonderful repertoire with many of the most talented surgeons in the world. Mm-hmm. I have wonderful relationships with them. So it's different for me.
Right.
For
so
sure.
what would cost somebody something? Like right now I'm getting implants on my teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Because, your boy ain't got... I pulled out 6 of my own teeth, right? So I'm having implants done because I didn't have insurance and I couldn't do anything about it and my teeth fucked up. So I was like, man, well, I've seen this on TV before. Let's just whip these fuckers out.
Wow.
And yeah, so my dentist said. He said, you're an idiot. Which, I agree. One smart idea. Don't take your own teeth out. But I've known him for 20 plus years. I train him. I train his kids and so on and so forth. And he's given me this, like, ridiculous deal that no one's going to get, right?
Yeah.
So I get these 6 things done that would cost upwards of, 50, 60 grand, and I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So I understand trades and barters and all those kinds of things, right? I just know because people have seen you and I've seen you, and I was like, shit, man, there ain't no motherfucker walking around the planet that's that perfect.
Oh, stop.
Right?
No, you're thinking there's no motherfucker walking around with that big of an ass.
But again, it's okay. We have ass. What are some of the things you've done?
Everything from my knees up is surgically enhanced.
So it's not like replace. It's just enhanced.
No, it's enhanced. So I mean, that's the best way. Like from the knees down, it's real. From the knees up, it's been sucked, plucked, pumped, cut, stitched back together again. Yeah. So I'm just if you can dream it, you can achieve it, and I've achieved it. And I have to say that I'm pretty content with the way that I look now. I've worked really hard to get here, and I think also like my frame of mind is different now. Like I think that has to do with it, but I'm content now. I'm like into non-invasive stuff. Like I love laser, I love RF microneedling. Shout out to my friends at Body Wellness Spa by Olivier. They keep me nice and tight and snatched. I love little procedures like that, but I don't see myself going under. I live a pretty healthy lifestyle. I'm really meticulous with my diet. I track my macros. I have a trainer. I do.
And I think that's where some people might get the misconception.
Oh, God, yes. They think that I just, they think that I went and I just bought everything and I just sit there.
No, because first off, I know who your trainer is.
Yeah.
I had a question to work my, I said, hey, homie, I got a question. I want to work a little bit of my trapper adult. What do you think? And he went from showing me a exercise to like 6 exercises, making me do each exercise like 20-some reps. I'm like, yo, bro, I just had a question. Like, why am I doing all this right now? So he's he's such a good trainer.
Yeah.
But I've seen you in here. Just he's trying to kill you. So
yeah, it's
not that it's I bought it, I'm done. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it.
Oh my God, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
You have to fucking maintain. You can't just walk around with these little etched abs. Like, you got to put the work in. Well, also, it's like when you have all this. You have all this work done, you have to, I think it's encouragement to work even harder in the gym, but you got to keep it up. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's going to all turn to shit if I don't work out, but it's going to look a little bit more surgical if I don't work out, because you don't have your natural muscle structure underneath. You just have like your etching and your your filler and your implants, whatever. And to clarify, I only have one implant in my body, and that's my jaw. So other than that, everything is been done with fat, the power of fat transfer. So and fillers. So I have no plans of not to say that I won't have plastic surgery in the future, because I don't want to be that guy like that will say that, because I will be quoted on that.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's I'm content. I'm happy. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve surgically, and I'm at a good place in my life.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Dope.
I'm happy. This is the first time I can say that I'm happy
And genuinely.
and mean it.
Yeah. That's dope.
Isn't that weird?
No, fuck, dude. Trust me.
Do you know how many pictures I've taken where, like, smiling is really hard for me to do, you know, right? In pictures. And, I mean, I have a mouth full of porcelain that, I should smile more. But I remember looking at a picture on my Instagram, and somebody commented, "Wow, you look so happy." You know, this was like a year and a half ago. And I remember it affected me so much reading that, because I'm like, wow, I'm a fucking fraud. I'm a fucking fraud if they think that's happy. That's not happy.
But that's social media, dude.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
That is an example of social media. Like, I remember taking that picture and thinking, like, okay, smile, but make it look real. Make it look natural. Like, and I took it. But now I feel like I'm just like a different person. I have different friends. I live a different lifestyle. I have, different moves I'm making for my future that I'm keeping under wraps. So there's some changes coming my way that I'm working on.
Good.
So yeah, everything has drastically changed. But I also feel like when you vibrationally, and you know what I mean by vibration, like spiritually, energetically, when you elevate yourself vibrationally, things around you elevate as well. You know, so I feel like my life has changed for the better. And I have new practices now that I incorporate every day, which I actually want to talk about, because this is important. Because you don't just go and you do this and you're like, I'm done, I'm good, like I'm healed. No, like I still get like triggering negative thoughts that come into my mind.
Life is still going to happen.
Life is still going to have its ups and downs. It's now having the tools
to deal with them.
Yeah. Now having, understanding that, oh, I feel this trauma in my body, or this is what I'm feeling in my mind and my body. I need to regulate my nervous system. I need to do my affirmations. I need to meditate. I have a whole routine of things that I do for my mind, my soul, and my spirit, and my body too. I work out really hard, so I just appreciate myself more. And when you appreciate yourself more, you do loving things for your body and yourself, you know?
Okay. Now, there's also the side of Frankie that's a fucking weirdo.
Oh, yeah.
And
we love talking about sex.
No, I just have questions. Have you ever been with one?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Nothing about that you missed. Just don't care.
It was definitely a confirmation that I was gay. Yeah, I was, and I'm like secure with myself, like as far as like my sexuality, like whatever. Like if I was gonna be into women, trust me, that would have happened a long time ago. And
Sure.
I even went as far to be with one, and that just really confirmed that I love women so much. I have such a deep love for women.
Yeah.
For what they go through, and then the struggles or whatever. Like I connect with them on, like on a soul level, but not sexually at all.
And remember, some of these questions are good because I'm curious.
Have you been
and
with a man? Would you ever talk? You like?
No, but I'll be dead ass honest with you about certain things, right? But the reason I'm asking these questions is
curious about
the
being
reason
with a man.
I'm asking these questions. One, because I have them, and two, because I know people are gonna have them, and they're gonna be pussies to ask them. So if I can ask them for them, I'm gonna.
Okay.
No, but growing up, and I've talked to a lot of guys about this. About I'm gonna tell you about. There's certain things as a guy, don't you dare, or you're not a man. Right?
Yeah.
growing up, you see good-looking men, and you're like, wow, that guy looks good. Why did I just say he looked good? Fuck, am I gay? No, but you know what you want to look like. When I was younger, I would see John Stamos from Full House. I'm like, man, that guy's a fucking badass. I want to be a badass like that. Why do I think like that? What's that mean? You know what I mean? And growing up, you see the same thing. As you grow up, you see a good-looking guy, and you're like, wow, he's an attractive guy. But as a man, you're not allowed to say that. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, especially a Mexican, tough, you know what I mean? It's you do that shit, you're getting thrown in the fire. Don't you dare. And I've known so many kids and young adults, because I'm coaching so many, that have these same kinds of things, and I'm honest with them. I'm like, dude, I've had the same thought, and the first thing I did was right on the Pornhub, type in, no, definitely not for me. Hell no. Like, the microsecond it starts, nope, over. I was like, that was my confirmation was, I looked it up.
Maybe you just haven't seen the right porn.
Man, it's just, it ain't, and my cousin,
I can show you a few things. I can pull up my phone right now. No, just
my cousin came out at 30, right, in his 30s.
Yeah.
And I knew he'd been in relationships with girls and stuff, and I'd seen him get his little heart broken and stuff like that, but according to him, it was all a facade. That was just him being unhappy, not being his true self.
Yeah.
And he's the happiest I've ever seen him. Mm-hmm. He is all about it. And I told him, I love him. I'm all about it. I'm happy for you, blah, blah, blah. But I had some of those questions for him. Like, you know, man, nothing. Nope. I don't give a flying fuck. Like, okay. So to me, it was just, you know, but for me, I am so in love with the feminine body and those parts that I could just, and I'm all about it. There ain't nothing attractive about that shit to me. I look at my shit and I'm like, yeah, girls like this. It's fucking
You know
weird.
what? I can relate to that, but from a gay standpoint. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I relate to that 100%, except for the fact that, like, you haven't been with men. I've been with a woman. But I didn't really even, honestly, now that I think back at it now, I didn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
Because I already knew. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that either. I just kind of was like, I don't know, I guess you would say as peer pressure.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah. I mean, nowadays, like, there's guys out there that come out as gay, and, you know, years later, they're just like, I want to try being with a woman. And they do it, and they like it, and they're, like, openly bisexual. I mean, more power to them.
Sure.
But, just sexuality is so fascinating.
Dude, this whole
very
thing as a world we're in right now is a fucking trip.
Yeah.
Like, I am all behind whatever it is that you want to do or whatever you want to be. I could give a flying fucking ducks, right? Because it doesn't have any weight on my world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to support you in what you're doing. What I can't get behind is when there's laws and mandates and all these things, right? So, which is why I have a problem with the alphabet mafia, like coming after cancel culture, those kinds of things. Like, we don't have to agree, right? People like tomatoes and they don't like tomatoes. People like fucking fast food. Some people don't.
Agree to disagree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I totally feel you. I have had this conversation. You and me are alike in so many ways. I've had this conversation with people like, hey, we're allowed to have our own opinions. It's, you know, that's okay. We, you know, I feel like the younger generation is just, you know, they're an activist for the sake of being an activist.
Virtue signaling. Like, they want people to be on there. I'm on your side, so I'm...
Yeah.
And they just want the clout that comes with that.
Yeah.
Like, someone say something nice about me.
Yeah, it's just like, why are you really battling this? Like, what is your... what's the real reason that you're behind this cause? Mm-hmm. You know? I just believe in respect. Like, hey, there's going to be people that love me, and there's going to be people that hate me. Like, as long as there's respect, we're good. You don't got to love me.
Yeah.
You don't got to like my lifestyle.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with me, but you will respect me.
Facts, which is why I wanted to ask you. So yesterday I told you, I did an interview with a guy, blah, blah, blah. And I brought it up to you when we first got here because I didn't want to publish a segment if you weren't okay with saying, oh man, this motherfucker gay, right?
No.
But I know
that's a normal reaction, and yeah, I look very gay online. I mean, whatever. It's
not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and you accept that.
I'm totally okay with that. Like,
I accept I'm not every lady's every. I'm not your cup of tea.
I mean, what I look like online. I mean, I don't dress that way, and I'm I'm very chill. You see me at the gym. I'm not, I mean, I have taken lots of ass photos in the mirrors, so I do, when I do find that right angle, I gotta get it.
See, to me, my reaction when I see that shit, it's like a train wreck sometimes. Like, you don't want to look away, but you have to look away, but you're like, don't look away. You know what I mean? Like, for me, that's my reaction when I see shit like that. Some of my guy friends, if they see anything remotely gay at all, they fucking, you ever fucked, they get all pissed off, right? Like one of our buddies.
Yeah.
They get hella upset. Like, why? Like, it's not contagious. You know what I mean? Like, this is just his lifestyle. So, for me, I'm just like, dude, this is fascinating.
I am very unapologetic about with myself, like, as in, like, the style of photos that I take or whatever. Like, hey, if you don't like it, don't look. But that's not going to stop me from doing me or expressing myself. So in that way, I've never really cared. I know that I cater to a certain audience.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. I don't need to cater to every audience.
Right.
But I have a specific audience that I cater to.
Sure.
So I don't fucking care.
Yeah, good. That's what it was. Next question. A friend of mine who is also gay, right, buddy, told me that he likes to go to straight bars to convert straight men as a hobby. Is that normal practice, or is that just because he's fucked up?
That's in poor taste.
That's in poor taste.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he's fucked up. I mean, a lot of... Because
he says it's common. He says it's like...
Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of gay people get off on, like, converting straight people or whatever. Like, this is how it is for me. There's a lot of people out there that claim to be straight, and I know they're not. Yeah. Right? But I respect wherever they're at in their sexuality. Like, I don't care.
Sure.
To me, that's not attractive. Like, know who the fuck you are and own it.
So that's something that you look for.
There's somebody that's comfortable in their sexuality. Yes. Whether if you're bisexual, own it. If you're gay, own it. That's attractive to me. Trying to, as far as finding, trying to convert or what, nobody has time for that. I don't need to convert anybody. Sure. They come to me.
So what do you look for? What do you look for? Do you go hunt and look, or do they all come to you?
Do I go hunt and look? I have always been really bad at that. I'm a Cancer. I have a Capricorn rising, so that basically means that, like, I come across very reserved to the world, so I'm intimidating, I know. Once you talk to me, like, I can talk to you about anything and everything, but I'm so awkward at that. Like, I can flirt, but, like, I'm not, like, a hunting type of guy. I mean, they usually come to me.
So are you on apps, or do you guys go to bars? What do you do?
Well, I'm not, like, actively looking. I mean, I dabble in apps here and there, but, like, I feel like
I just seen that. So I've never been on app my whole life.
Yeah,
ever.
I feel like interactions like that can be so forced. Mm-hmm. So I'm really not good at that. If you see me and if you think I'm cute, like, let me know, because I sure as hell won't let you know. Like,
make the move.
I'm over here being, like, awkward in my own shell. I am, like, shy when it comes to those things. I talk a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, all day long, the shit that I say to my trader, like, just talking smack, but just funny stuff, right? It's like, what the fuck did he say? Like, really dirty stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I get shy in person. I'm good with, like, one-on-one encounters. But, like, now, like, I love, like, not that I love, but, like, I'm very comfortable in social settings now.
Yeah.
Whether before I was uncomfortable. So I feel, like, more comfortable being out, making new friends, just being at ease with myself. So I think that energy, I can see the effect that energy has mm-hmm. on men. It's definitely It's nice to see the type of person I attract now.
Yeah. And would that be, or do you prefer a more feminine energy or masculine?
You know, I prefer people to be themselves.
So it doesn't matter.
It does, you know, to me,
Confidence
as far
is
as
key?
yeah, confidence is key. Like that, all that feminine, masculine stuff, like that doesn't. I want people to be themselves. I want, fuck, just go to therapy. You know.
Okay, so that's
that already. You, if a guy tells me he goes to therapy, that's a fucking turn on.
okay.
That's like, damn, because
So-
he is addressing some shit. He is, you know, working on himself. Like that to me is like a turn on. So go to therapy, guys.
Okay, so going back to the feminine, masculine
Yeah.
part, because this has always been a thing.
Are you a top or a bottom?
No,
That's what
fuck, I
was
don't give a
gonna
fuck about that. I want to know, where does that stuff come from? So, like my cousin, right? And I love you, but
go. This is such straight talk.
it's just like, it's knowing him his whole life, right?
Yeah.
It was this way.
Uh-huh.
And then when he came out, it's similar, but different with a little twang.
Well, you know why?
No, that's my
Because
question.
his whole life he was pretending to be somebody else. His whole life he had to butch it up so people wouldn't figure him out. His whole life he had to walk around in a box. So when you see him doing his thing now, that's him shining. That's him being who he was all along. You know? So it doesn't, like, gay culture doesn't make you more gay.
That's not what I mean. But sometimes
But I
it's
think that some people, like, you know, like, I think certain environments that gay people are in, I think maybe, I don't even really like saying that word gay. I think people should be themselves and embrace their femininity or masculinity. But in regards to your cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who he's been all along.
Yeah.
You guys just didn't know it.
I did. I got in trouble for it too.
Oh, you noticed
Oh,
it?
I said it from fucking. He was I don't know, 6 years old. Knock it out, Frank. You're such a prick. I'm like, no, I'm not. Man, ain't nobody need to walk around and be like, I hate all this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just different, and it was just different. And then sometimes he'd have his steering wheel and his
that
keys
was
and try to
me.
be the dude. But
That was, as a kid though, Frankie, what's really sad, and I want you to understand this perspective, is that you're walking around in a world where you don't feel like it's safe to be you.
and he said that so
So
because he deleted us all on
Yeah.
social media in the beginning, and I was what the
because
fuck?
the world shows you that it's not safe to
Sure.
be you
right.
constantly.
Yeah.
So when you are you, or when you do something out of the norm as a kid, you're penalized for that.
Yeah.
So of course someone's going to walk around, in the that's the whole, purpose. That's the whole where the phrase "in the closet" comes out. You're essentially hiding.
Yeah.
And I was hiding too. I could relate to your cousin. Like obviously as a kid, I was, I'm an artist. I'm a feeler. I'm a thinker. I'm a passionate man. And that kind of showed as a kid as well. So I would like things that other kids didn't like. I'd love to paint and create things, and other kids wanted to play sports. I wasn't interested in sports.
Yeah, you mean it.
It's just, come on. You not interested in sports?
No, I said him either. Me,
Oh, yeah.
am.
I thought you said. I
fuck
was like,
no.
what are you talking about?
I
You own a
played
gym.
everything.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's the great thing about being an individual. So to me, the most sexiest thing is when the most sexiest attribute in a man is confidence, is owning who they are, being self-aware, emotional intelligence. That's key, and that plays hand in hand in being self-aware, right? You can't really be self-aware if you don't have emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is a turn on for me. Any guy that says he goes to therapy is a turn on for me.
So does your current boyfriend have that, or are you
Boyfriend?
single?
I'm single.
Oh shit, cousin. Gentlemen, there you go. Unsolicited pics. Send him his way. we'll put his link in the description.
So let me be clear about unsolicited pictures.
No, I'm definitely fucking around, but
no, I'm not.
That's
like,
awesome.
listen. I admire, like, if someone wants to send me whatever, like, I'm for it. I welcome it. It's okay, like, whatever. But what you won't do is expect me to send you shit. 'Cause no, sending a nude is like giving somebody a gift.
Yeah.
Right? You don't give someone a gift and then turn around and say, well, where's my gift?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
That shit annoys me, you know? And so if you want to give me a gift, do it. Just don't expect me to do it either. 'Cause then people get all weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't judge people that, you know, send their nudes, but like, don't ask me for mine.
Yeah.
I mean, what they see online is practically nude anyways. Why you gotta ask?
Another question I had.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend. Knees up, you said you done shit.
Oh,
you do anything to your dick?
Huh?
Did you do anything to your dick?
I haven't needed to.
Damn. Hey man, that $12 footlong Subway guy, man, I got that $2.56. You know what I'm saying? So, if there was any help out there, I figured you had a connection.
Yeah. Now the back end, that's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. That's an encyclopedia right there.
That's a BBL, right? That's what you call it?
Yeah.
How many of those have you had?
Oh God, here we go into this.
Doesn't gotta be long. You just quick.
Well, it's, you know, there's BBL and then there's filler. So it's a combination of both.
You gotta remember, I'm naive to this shit. I'm
Yeah.
damn near retarded.
Well, you got a lot of junk in your trunk. You gotta worry
Dude,
about that.
I ain't got no ass. I am lower back hamstrings. I slide out of chairs. Like
Slide out of chairs.
I got a Hulk butt, like an action figure. No ass, just legs.
Yeah. People don't realize, like, people don't realize the unglamorous side of having a butt this big. You know, if you want to go and augment your ass, like, to, like, you know, insane proportions or whatever, just be prepared, you know, have a good chiropractor and have a good tailor. That's all I gotta tell you. Because I am always at the tailor, you know, the tailor shop getting my pants tailored. I have to buy, my waist is 29 and my ass is 34. So as far as, like, I have to buy size 34 pants and get the waist cinched in to be a size 29 because the proportions are off. So anything that I buy has to go straight to the tailor.
Yeah.
So it's not like off the rack unless it's stretchy. Like, I love Lululemon. Like, it's stretchy. I fit right into it. But other than that, everything has to be tailored. And then, of course, you know, your back, that starts hurting after a while. Not so much from, like, the weight that you carry, but, like, you know, I had a chiropractor tell me, well, I actually thought he was trying to fondle me. He's like, can I pull your underwear down? I just want to feel something. And I'm like, I've heard that before.
Wow.
So, I mean, yeah, like, he's like, I think you carry a lot of weight in your glutes. He's like, rubbing, and he's like, can I ask you a question? I'm like, yes, it's done. He's like, okay. I think when you do a back press at this angle, somehow the weight of your glute shifted. Mind you, his, like, hand is, like, you know, in my asshole at this point. You know, he's talking about, you know, how my glute shifted and it caused my lower back pain or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm always in the chiropractor's office and the tailor's. So, and there are times that, like, I don't dress to attract attention. I dress how I feel comfortable, but I am comfortable, you know, like, there's certain things, like, no matter what I wear, it's there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Everything is tight around the ass because it's big. Just like women with big breasts, you know, it's always there. So it's not like you can minimize it unless you're wearing a sheet over you or a poncho. Or,
ladies, we don't mind.
Yeah. Or, like, with me, like, unless I'm wearing, like, a jacket that's, like, lower, it's always going to be there. And there have been places that I've gone that I knew that I had to dress a little bit more conservatively. And when I say conservative, like something that like my ass isn't like, you know, hanging out all over. Yeah, the center of attention. But that's always been, it's so funny because I feel like with men, like they love like the glitz and they love the body, right? They love the ass, whatever, all that comes with it. But they don't realize that, you know, they have to be out in public with you. So they have to now deal with everyone else looking at that body. And are you secure enough to be with somebody that, you know, at times can garner that kind of attention?
Yeah.
Can you handle that?
It's a lot of guys that date the hot chicks.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I'm not trying to say anything or the other. I mean, to me, it's like I think people stare, not necessarily because, you know, oh, I'm so hot, whatever. I think that just people stare because, you know, they don't really see men with those kind of proportions. And they're curious or they're amused by it, just like they would, you know, if they see women with gigantic tits. Like, they're not always looking because they're sexually turned on. They're looking because they're probably like, you know, maybe they think it looks weird or maybe they're curious or whatnot. So to me, it doesn't matter. Let anyone who wants to look. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'm so oblivious to it, you know. But I don't see it because they're looking from behind. So if I'm with a friend, they notice it, you know. I at one point wanted to take a little camera.
Dude, what a lot of people do is they'll put their phone in their pocket backwards and leave it recording and just walk through their store and you'll see all the people. Like, a lot of girls do it.
I wanted to do, you know what, I still might do it. Like, you can buy these little cameras off of Amazon and you could like clip them to parts of your body. So I'm thinking like, okay, what would happen if I take a little camera and I clip it to, you know, like where my belt would be and just like walk and record. Just to see like, now that would be a reaction video.
That'd be fucking
hilarious. We were
hilarious.
talking about these fake reaction videos on Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Just, you know, to laugh at, because like I said, I don't see this to my face. I mean, even, you know, I had to have little, like I'm forbidden to wear tights.
When you work out.
Yeah.
I heard about that. I was fucking dying.
Yeah, I'm not allowed. I mean, I work out on my own as well, and I don't really, you know, I feel weird in tights anyways. I mean, you wouldn't tell that from my picture, but it's like, oh, it's a lot. I mean, maybe if I'm running errands, whatever, but yeah, my trainer forbids me from wearing tights because he's just jealous because I get more attention than he does when I wear them.
He's a pretty big boy too, so.
Yeah, no, he's I'm just joking. I know he's gonna watch this and give me shit about it.
We'll see.
Yeah, he's gonna give me shit. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't take myself too seriously anymore. Like, I used to get so uptight when people would ask me about like plastic surgery or whatever. Listen, if I want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. If the vibe is right, then I'll talk. If the vibe is off, then I'll keep it short. Yeah. Or I'll make a joke that you know that like
move on.
It's time to.
Yeah.
I'm very good at like making a joke at that moment. Like, I'll make a joke before you make a joke of yourself.
Yeah. You know how to steer the conversation.
Yeah, like I do that a lot. Because it's like, listen.
Just street smarts.
Well, it's, you know, people sometimes get it. Like, sometimes people, I don't take well to invasive questions about things like that because I feel like most of the time it's just people being nosy. You know? And I don't know you. I don't owe you an explanation of anything.
Yeah.
So if I want to talk about it, I will. Like, there's been so many like awkward moments where like in public.
Well, there's time and place too. It's like,
things,
hey, like, why would you say that outside?
I'm just like, bro, really?
Yeah.
The fuck? But I'm, you know, I'm pretty good about it. Like I'm, you know, pretty chill. But yeah, I think that I was surprised. I was at a July 4th. I was on the beach, and I was. You laugh.
I saw that shit on my story. I was like, this motherfucker.
No, I was at the beach, and I could tell certain people that they look and then they look like they're examining you. They're analyzing you, but I don't care. I mean, no one asked me anything, and surprisingly, you know, in situations like that, people do, and no one did, and, you know, it's cool. It's just about being tactful. But, yeah, like, it's all good.
Yeah. So, another question. Most dudes are probably the horniest fucks alive. So, do you, like, get approached a lot by guys like that? Like, because they want sex? Like, they're just, hey, man, what's up? You free today? You free to hang out? Like, is there more one-night stands, you think, with gays than there's straights? And I'm asking because, again, I'm completely fucking novice to this shit, and I don't know anything.
I think you know the answer to that question.
No, because I've asked one other person, but their answer was, well, no, some are little bitches. And I was like,
well, like, yeah, just think about this. Like, you know, like, men are obviously hornier than women.
Yeah.
So now put two men together. It's a completely different scenario. It's none of this, like, you know, you have to chase a girl and take her on a date or whatever. Like, if men want to fuck, they fuck. It's like, it's very matter of fact in the gay world.
See, that I've never heard before. See, this is why I ask. I've never heard a straight answer before. Everyone dodges the question, and you're being much more direct, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I feel like. As far as with me, I think that people are more inclined to tell me how they feel online than they will in person. For sure. Like, which really, which I guess that makes sense, but no, like, I if you're in my DM asking me questions, or like people are inspired about certain things or whatever, and I have pleasant conversations with people, like, just about random things.
Sure.
Stuff that we have in common, or they see something on my story where, oh, that's cute or whatever, like, oh yeah, it's this, whatever. But if I have open dialogue with you, continuous dialogue, and you see me in public, don't run to your DM and, oh, I saw you, and da-da-da. Did you say hi?
So you have the typical hot girl syndrome. Most of these girls get hit up, and then they meet the guy, and the guy's like, duh, 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 duh. They're like the blubbering idiot.
Yeah, like, I had a situation on the beach where, like, somebody hit me up, and they're like, I see you, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay, well, you could say hi, and, like, to me, it's just like, it's so silly and stupid to me. So I ignored it, and then I was walking on the beach, and then I see this person again, and of course their whole body language is like, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, hell no. So I walk by, and I grab his arm, and I'm like, hey, it's me. You know, just very obvious, like, hey, bro, I see you.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't gotta be a little bitch and, you know, like, do all this. Like, I mean, after seeing that, after that interaction, I can see why he probably felt awkward. He wasn't exactly what he presented himself online to be. So I think he was probably insecure about that. What you get is what you see with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this booty is exactly how it looks in person than it does online. Okay?
Yeah.
The proportions, it's all, I try to post as many videos as possible, but I think that was the case in particular with him. But, like, I think it's, like, so much more attractive. It's like, hey, I'm so-and-so, what's up?
Confidence.
Yeah. Like, if I have a connection with somebody online, and granted, I'm talking about any type, girl or guy, I am, of course, going to be inclined to, I mean, in fact, I'm actually excited to run into you in person. If I've talked to you online, I'm excited to run into you by chance in person, because it's like, hey, a face to a screen name. How are you?
Yeah.
But if I see that you're trying to act like you don't know me, no, that doesn't work for me. Then I will specifically, you know, like, make it a point to just kind of break through that and, like, hey, we're friends online, you know? Why you gotta act like that?
Yeah, this is what an actual conversation is like.
Yeah, but I think that people are just more comfortable, you know, interacting behind a phone than in person.
Of course, that's
so
another problem with social media.
Yeah. So going back to your story, like, yeah, no one ever comes up to me like, "Hey, you want to fuck?" Like, nobody. Like I think I scare the shit out of people for them to do that. I mean, people are intimidated. Online, it's a different story. Yeah. But yeah, no one's coming up from, Stater Brothers and,
Hey, let's go on a date.
Yeah, no one's doing that. But
is that what's a typical? Is a date like a Starbucks coffee?
What's a date like to you? Like, it's any different
dinner,
for
movie?
us?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Again.
Oh, you know what would be okay? So an ideal date.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well,
gentlemen, listen. If you're looking at homeboy and you're trying to get a date, this is what he wants. Pay attention.
I'm a Cancer, as I've mentioned before. I like to be by the water. So anytime I'm by the water, I'm typically in a more relaxed, open state. Mm-hmm. I'm just in my element. So I think going to dinner and then going to, walk on the, I know this sounds so corny, but going a stroll, a drive to the beach or a stroll on the beach is like, you'll really get me in my element there. And I love to take guys to the beach. I mean, not that I do, but I have loved doing that. I think it's very romantic and it's very fun at night. I know lots of spots in Laguna where you can go and look at the stars and walk by the waves and stuff. So just a nice dinner, a nice stroll by the beach or a drive by the beach or something like afterwards is nice too. And yeah, I think that's I'm simple. I'm very simple.
Dope. And just to conclude, a couple things. Favorite 2 movies?
Death Becomes Her.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just the cult classics, Death Becomes Her and Mommy Dearest. Anyone that like I've met, like if you haven't seen those movies, then like I will like force people to sit and watch that movie, and I will sit there next to them and make sure they watch it through, because you gotta know this. If you're gonna know me, you gotta watch those 2 movies, and I gotta make sure I'm there to watch you watch it, to just to know, we're good.
Favorite music? Like genre?
Well, I like everything. I can be like ghetto as hell and listen to like all types of rap.
If I got in your car right now and hit on, what would be on the radio?
Let me look at my Spotify. Let's see what Spotify says. I like all types of shit.
If you get in my car right now, the Maverick soundtrack is still on.
Okay.
Greatest movie ever.
Okay, I like this song that I'm listening to lately. Is this song I just discovered? I don't know.
I don't understand it at all.
Playlist, but it's all over the place. It's,
yeah.
It's rap, it's pop, it's
I'll go
hip-hop.
from Ray Charles to Killswitch Engage.
Yeah. No, I'm very weird with my music taste. It really just depends on my mood.
Dope. Well, now that we've been here for damn near 3 hours.
Jeez.
So,
how'd you think it went?
It was awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
No, it was dope. I like having conversations, and I don't mind uncomfortable conversation, asking questions that might be either frowned upon by certain things, but it's knowing the source, knowing the person. I wouldn't ask some random stranger on the street some of these questions, right? Because I wouldn't want to offend them. I'm never a mean person.
Yeah.
I might say things that people think are mean, but that's never my intent. Right?
Yeah.
My intent is to do whatever it is that I'm doing.
Didn't my jacket look okay while I was...
Yeah. I ain't got that kind of swag. But ladies and gentlemen, that concludes another episode of Coach's Corner. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good jive. We'll put his contact info down below in the description if he wants it there. And yeah, stay tuned. If you guys have other questions you want, comment down below and we'll see what we can do. All right? Peace.
Bye.